This week on Community Watch, I'm talking to Sam Burrell, who is headlining or organizing a great jazz concert coming up February 17th. You're going to hear a lot about it and about the organization that he is heading up that may bring a lot more to Rome. So, great conversation coming up with Sam Burrell. Community Watch starts now. Welcome to Community Watch. I am thrilled to have my good friend Sam Burrell today as a guest. Sam, how are you?
Great to be here. I'm good. Considering all, I'm good.
Well, we'll just leave it with that. All right, so I'm going to take the first 20 minutes of the show just to read your titles.
Okay.
You are an independent contractor with United Healthcare.
That's correct.
And we've had discussions on and off the air about that, and we're going to have another one someday soon because people of a certain age need to talk to you because healthcare is just so complicated.
It is.
And you understand it all.
Well, let's don't go to an extreme.
So people of a certain age need to know this for sure, and then people who are not quite of a certain age need to be thinking about it. So
True.
We'll do at least one show with that, but we're not talking about that today.
Okay.
We're talking about jazz.
My favorite subject.
And you are you director, president?
I am director of what is titled the Northwest Georgia Jazz and Cultural Arts Society. Okay. So we plan to expand not only to jazz, but
other stuff,
other cultural type experiences for our productions.
And you've got a big jazz event coming up. So that's kind of the center of our discussion today. But I want to know a little bit more about the organization, and also, there's a jazz history in Rome that a lot of people don't know about.
It is. We incorporated as a 501c3 back in October of 23. We started this quest about 20 years ago. Some of our fans may remember, but we brought in Hank Crawford, Jimmy McGriff. We started 20 years ago. Then some personal things got in my life that were unavoidable. And so we kind of dropped the ball a little bit. So we're refurbishing, we're bringing it back together now. It just so happens that the evening with Cyrus and Jackie on the 17th is two old friends who knew each other at Berkeley and Boston. So they were both at the jazz school at the same time. So that gave us a little leeway into making contacts with Cyrus. So now we decided, okay, let's bring Cyrus to town and let the public hear what he's all about. Cyrus is one of the top level jazz pianists in the country. As a matter of fact, right now I think he's in South Africa doing some visitation over there with some jazz workshops or whatever. But
Cyrus's full name is
Cyrus Chestnut. Sorry.
And that event is, we'll say this several times, but it's February 17th.
February 17th at what is now the Rome Little Theater, what used to be the old DeSoto Theater right on Broad Street. Show starts at 8 o'clock, but we're opening the doors at 7 so people can come in and take some refreshments or whatever and sit around and browse around and make it a social event as well.
Of course. And that is a great venue.
It is.
For many things, but certainly for a concert like this.
The acoustic, that's another thing that brought us there, Dr. Hershey, because the acoustic level is so good there, you can stand on stage and have a conversation with somebody in the very back of the theater and without shouting. They can hear you. There's very little echo in it. It's a great theater.
Well, I'm excited about the event, and we'll remind folks about that later in the show. Tell me a little bit more about Cyrus now, and
Cyrus now is he's on staff at Howard University. If you wanted to see how much or how many records or recordings Cyrus has made, I have to tell people this: Google him. Just Google him, and you can see a plethora of records that he has already. One of the things I like about Cyrus the most too is you can hear a lot of pianists, jazz pianists, that have a technical facility that's beyond belief. Cyrus is one of those pianists that has the technical facility that's beyond belief, but he also, you can hear in his playing, you can hear where he was brought up in a church or brought up in some kind of gospel church, because you can hear it in his playing. So he's got that soulful air, so to speak, to him, where you can hear it. And he's got the technical facility to go with it. That's kind of a rare breed. A lot of jazz pianists now in this era, they don't have the church background that Cyrus may have had, or the gospel background that they have had. A lot of pianists now, a lot of jazz musicians now, they just have all of the technique, but some of them, not all have that soulfulness, that bluesy kind of feel. And Cyrus definitely is going to have that when he comes to town.
Well, I did Google him, and I learned, in addition to hearing some wonderful playing of his, a lot of it is instructional. He's clearly a teacher.
Yeah.
And a pretty impressive teacher, just from the little segments I was able to find on the internet. So explain again the contact between, or how you were able to connect with them.
Oh, this is when if you believe in karma, this one had to have happened. I'll try and make this story as short as possible.
You're fine.
We
like stories.
We also had we're going to bring out a surprise guest who is a classically voiced opera singer. That's all I'm going to say. As I was talking to the guest, she is actually from Rome, from what they call the pocket. I talked to her mother, and the mother told me that she was in the envoy that President Biden had sent to China with the New York Philharmonic.
Goodness.
So she was over there. It was about 2 months ago. So she was in that with the Philharmonic, and they actually went over there to sing. She was actually over there with Cyrus Chestnut's wife. So there was a connection there. So when I finally got in touch with her, I said, "You got to come sing for us. You got to come sing for us." Because he was over there. She said, "Yeah, I know Cyrus very well. I know his wife very well." So the karma kind of led to it. Then Jackie Beard, who's also going to be featured on the show, was at Berkeley College at the same time Cyrus was there as well. So things kind of rubbed together, so to speak. And so we decided, okay, let's go with Cyrus Chestnut. He's big enough. His name is well known in the jazz world. Karma is on our side with this. Just hope it fills up the seats. But it was kind of one of those things where, this is something we need to do. All of the indications are pointing in the same direction. So let's try it. And so we got back on the horse again. We tried it again.
Well, now, for folks who may not know him, tell us a little bit about Jackie Beard as well.
Jackie Beard, born and raised in South Rome. True story, his mother, out of her mouth, told me years ago that Jackie as a kid would not go to sleep unless he had his little musical box. So music was always inherent in Jackie. It was always one of those things where we always felt that Jackie was going to be a musician. As we grew older through high school, we're the same age. As we grew older through high school, I went to college. He went to Germany to play in his brother's band. So he was touring all over Europe, getting his college education, which I admire him for. I wish I'd done that, and playing at the same time. But it was interesting because when he came back, the first thing out of his mouth was, "I got to go to Berkeley. I got to go to Berkeley. I can't do what I'm doing. I got to go to Berkeley." So the next thing I know, he was enrolled in going to Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Yeah.
And I'm still in college. But we communicated all through those years. We continued to communicate. Some of the letters were historic in nature. And that's all I'll say.
Well, now I'm really intrigued. But tell me, I mean, both of these gentlemen attended Berklee.
Yeah.
What is the connection between Berklee and jazz historically? I mean, that school comes up again and again and again.
Well, Berklee is one of the premier jazz schools in the nation, right there with Juilliard and maybe a couple of the programs on the West Coast. But it is one of the premier. Everybody wants to go to either Berklee. If you think you can cut it, you think you're a good musician, Berklee is on your horizon, or Juilliard is on your horizon. They produce, I don't remember the number, but Grammy Award winners are fluid at Berklee. If you come out of Berklee, people on the Tonight Show, people on all of the TV shows, you say, oh, yeah, we know what kind of background this kid has got. True story. A lot of artists go to Berklee when they're getting ready to tour, and they'll give a kid, 6 weeks and say, okay, we're going to go to the West Coast and we're going to make 16 stops on the West Coast. Can you play these charts? Well, the kid from Berklee, yeah, I can play that. Yeah. I'm gone. So they're out of school. But it's the quality of musicians that come out of Berklee is really outstanding sometimes, and that's why people want to go there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the event again is February 17th. Actually starts at 8, but you need to be there at 7, really.
Yeah, we're opening, like I said, we're opening the doors at 7. This is on the 17th. It's a Saturday night, so everybody can get all of their duties out of the way and come relax. We're touting it as that for your wife or your spouse or your girlfriend, whoever, that sequel gown that she has in the back somewhere that she doesn't get to wear that much. We're saying, okay, wear that tonight. Bring that out tonight. You can, have a good time, But I think it's going to be a good evening. Everything from grand piano to sound systems to everything I'm involved with. So, but it should be good. I think the quality of entertainment will be something that Rome hasn't seen in a very long time. So,
and where can folks get tickets?
Tickets are at, here we go, with the social media age. You can go to Eventbrite, B-R-I-T-E, and search for An Evening with Cyrus and Jackie. Tickets are $45, which in this area is pretty reasonable. If you saw Cyrus Chestnut in Atlanta, you're going to pay $75 to $100.
Yeah.
So we're trying to keep the ticket price as low as we can. But you can go to Eventbrite, and we will have some tickets on sale at the door if we haven't sold it out yet. But
you don't want to take that chance.
No, yeah. Tickets are going pretty good on Eventbrite right now. So.
And it's Valentine's week.
We're also using that. Thanks, Dr.
What better?
Good lead here. We use that one too.
So you have, I mean, for the guys out there, here, go no further than this event. Here you go. It's a gift to you. You don't have to struggle anymore thinking of the best thing to do.
I've told a few friends of mine that this is just what you just said. This is a great Valentine's Day gift. It's only 3 days after. You don't have to search. It's right here in front of you. So,
well, we're coming up on our break here, and in a little bit, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about jazz and Rome, because I don't think people realize how much there has been over the years.
Yeah, true.
Don't go away. I'll be right back with Sam Burrell and more conversation after this.
Access to me means I get to explore and define myself.
Access? That allows me to follow my passion.
For me,
It means I get to do what I've always dreamed of doing, helping people.
Access to me means I'm the first one in my family to come to college. Sé el primero.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and I'm having a conversation with Sam Burrell, who is the president. Of the Northwest Georgia Jazz? Help me out with this.
On paper, it's titled the director.
But
that means you do just a bit of everything.
Okay.
So,
and the organization, which officially is fairly new, but it's been part of the plan for a long time.
Yeah, well, we had it like in our earlier segment. We were incorporated 20 years ago, but we fell out because of my personal issues, and so we had to reinvigorate and reestablish our 501c3 status, and we did that in October. So we are a legitimate nonprofit, tax exempt.
So Jazz and Cultural Arts Society.
Yes.
And of course, the event we've been talking about coming up on February 17th, concert at the Rome Little Theater, DeSoto Theater, is a great event. But what are the other plans, or what do you anticipate happening with this organization?
Well, we've entertained ideas about Rome's first blues fest outside in the park. So that's on the table right now. We haven't got any conclusive plans. We're trying to coordinate it with perhaps the Juneteenth concert, the Juneteenth parade that goes on downtown. And I think that would be a good blend for it if we can work out some of the details, but that's a long way to go. In May, we're having a comedy show. May 18th, we're going to have a comedy show downtown because there is really not many things to do around Rome if you're looking for entertainment. For the minority community, it's not anything. There's no clubs or nothing, and no shows are coming to town. Excuse me. So we've got a comedy show. We've got potentially the Blues Fest. But those things in the works. The comedy show looks like it's pretty much set in stone. We're all right there. The Blues Fest, we don't know yet. So, but we're just getting started. So, your appetite when you're hungry, and you go to the grocery store, you want to eat everything you see, but you can't do that. In this business, in this town, I learned that the hard way the last time. You can't do that, so you have to walk slowly, because you can get burned out really pretty fast here, And it depends on the community support. We have to have a lot of community support to bring in somebody like Cyrus. The Rome Area Council for the Arts has helped us. We've got Berry College helping us. We've got Jacksonville State helping us. We've got a few things that are in line. We'd like to, next year, if all possible, to go into the public school system here, since you already stated it, and we know that Cyrus is a master class teacher and professor at Howard. We'd like to go into the classroom and to the music students at Rome High and maybe Floyd and say, okay, look, these are people that are out on the road. They've been in the record business. Do a Q&A with them. Listen to what they play. Listen to how they play. Then at the end, do a Q&A, and maybe you can learn something. Maybe you don't want to learn something. I don't know. But if you listen, you can learn.
Well, I think what might surprise a lot of young people is how much of jazz there is in the music they listen to.
Yeah. Dr. Hershey, I feel fortunate because I grew up with a parent who grew up in the swing era. I grew up with uncles who knew what the bebop era was. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the hard bop era. Jazz has gone through different segments, and now we're in the mainstream era. So I know people that play mainstream and they go straight ahead, as they call it now. They play straight ahead jazz. Yeah. So I was fortunate enough in my time that I have seen the evolution of jazz as it has gone through from era to era to era. And I can't tell you which one I like the most, to tell you the truth. Because I still listen to swing era. I still listen to Duke and Count and Tommy Dorsey and Jimmy Dorsey. I still listen to that. And then I like, when we went forward, I like Charlie Parker and the bop era and Dizzy Gillespie. You know, I listen to that stuff too. And if you go back and listen to jazz, if you are a really jazz novice, if you go back and listen to Charlie Parker, you can hear that nobody's really doing anything more than what he did in 1950. You know, nobody actually plays any better than he did in 1950. If you go back to the 60s and listen to John Coltrane, you know nobody can do what he does. And now there are a few imitators out there who try and do it, but nobody played like John Coltrane. That was I think he died in 1968. And so how far forward are we now, and you still can't get anybody to beat what he did? You know? So that's I wanted to say that to you because I've seen it. I hadn't seen it all, but I've seen the evolution of it. Now, and jazz, to much dismay to a lot of commercial people, it's not died. It's still here. And I don't think it's going anywhere.
Well, now see, that's an interesting point too. What is it about jazz? I mean, it has, I was going to say fans, but you kind of become a student of jazz, really, but who are very passionate about it. But compared to music that is much more commercially popular, it's never been a contender in that realm. I mean, it's always been present. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'm going to differ with you just a little bit.
All right.
During the swing era, it was popular because it was a dance music.
Right.
And that answers the question, because kids in that era, they wanted to dance. And so Duke Ellington and Count Basie and the Dorsey, they were playing music that you could actually dance to.
Right.
As the war progressed and the economy changed a little bit, jazz got condensed into small areas. So it became more of a sit-down, listen music. And that's when I think it changed. Then the commercialization of other people like Louis Jordan, who were saying, they were singing Caledonia and Red Beans and Rice and all of that kind of stuff. Some of the other musicians started seeing how much in that era, that was in the 50s, mid-50s, somewhere, and started seeing how much money they were making by generating that. And you could still dance to it a little bit. But a lot of musicians start going that way and start making music that was not necessarily mainstream jazz, but it was music you could dance to, music that had a commercial or had a little commercial intrigue to it, where you could listen. Hey, he's talking about Caledonia,
Right.
or he's talking about red beans and
Right.
rice. You know, so it had a little comic relief to it as well. I think that's the word I was looking for. And it worked, and it worked. So the mainstream jazz got a little further and further away from the public view. Then the economy changes again. You know, after the World War II, it changes again. So people that went abroad, there's a story in Ken Burns about jazz. He said a lot of people went to war in the swing era, but when they came back from overseas, they were still looking for swing, but jazz had changed. It was now in small areas now, in small cafes and clubs and stuff where people would actually sit down and listen to. So the evolution of it is really what I really like, and it intrigues me. I like the study of it. You know, I'm more of a historian
So
of it.
it's been able to evolve and change and always stay
As the economy changes.
present in one way or another.
When you come to the show on the 17th, I have to get that plug again.
Yeah.
When you come to the beauty to it is the audience is always diverse. When you come to the show, when we were doing shows in the past, we didn't know if it would be 40% black and 60% white, and then another one we did, it would be 60% black and 40%. I don't think there's another genre in town except for maybe a sports show, a sports game or something that can bring that diversified of an audience to come together for it. I don't think it is.
That's interesting.
And it's going to be interesting when on the 17th when you see that too.
So Rome has had, jazz throughout its history in various ways. Whether it's folks that grew up here, like Jackie Beard, or people that performed here. What are some examples of that, and what do you suppose is that connection between Rome and jazz? I mean,
Well, at the time, with segregation laws, we were at one time on what they call the circuit. Famous blues singers like Ma Rainey had been here when there was a theater over on First Avenue. It was over where, you might remember where the First Avenue Theater used to be. It was in that area somewhere a long time ago. But since then, Dr. Hershey, I've done a little research. We haven't had a jazz artist of that caliber that I can't find. I can't find any. There may be some out there, and I'm probably going to get some correction from some of the old heads around town that can remember, which I don't have a problem with, but I haven't seen anything since.
But the circuit and Ma Rainey, that's pretty significant.
Yeah, Ma Rainey that was pretty big.
Yeah.
And after having said that, this is going to be we're going to play a trivia game on the 17th too, and I'm giving some of this away. But Roland Hayes, a classical voice, is from Calhoun, Georgia, and there's a Roland Hayes Museum right downtown Calhoun right there. So there was some artistic quality in Rome. If you look at Roland Hayes and the people that may have come through here back in those days, but I don't know what happened. It seemed like we kind of just fell off the map.
Well, what seems interesting to me is that Rome was on the circuit that you mentioned, because at least today, you have to want to go to Rome. I mean, it's not on your way somewhere else. So the fact that we were once on the circuit is fascinating, I think.
There is a story that might blend with this a little bit that I've heard. Mr. Herman Scott, who used to be the band director at Maine High School, when it was a Northwest Regional Hospital, before it was Northwest Regional Hospital, it was Batty State. I've heard the rumor before, I can't justify it, but Mr. Scott was allegedly the teacher of James Brown when he was incarcerated out at Batty State. And from what we have heard, from more than one source, but the validated is the question, that he gave James Brown his first instrument. And rumor had it also, when Mr. Scott passed, James Brown flew his jet to Russell Field and went to the funeral and went back and got on his jet.
Well, let's just assume that's true. That's too good to not be true.
There's a lot of falsified if that's not true, but I could see it happen. But the part that he did give him his first instrument, that part is true.
Well, we are about out of time, so let's remind folks again, the jazz event is February 17th.
February 17th.
8 o'clock, but you can get there at 7.
Yep.
And tickets on Eventbrite.
Eventbrite, that's correct.
And this is something you don't want to miss.
You don't want to miss this one because we don't know if we're going to be able to do it again next year.
I bet you will.
We're going to try for sure.
Well, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Dr. Hershey. I appreciate it.
And thank you all for being with us on Community Watch. We will see you next time. Bye now.